everyone, and welcome to this week's Demo Day Wednesday. People are just filtering in, so we'll give it 2 seconds and then we'll just jump straight into things.
Maybe even a minute.
Perfect. All right, it's about a minute past now. Okay, so yeah, thanks everyone for joining. My name is Neve and I sit within the account management team here at FE Fund Info, and I'm joined by my colleague Steve as well. So today's session is going to be about what we've done this year to expand and improve the overall FE ecosystem, not just through individual features, but also by making the tools that you use more connected, more efficient, and just overall easier to work with. So we work quite closely with a large number of fund managers across the market, and a lot of the improvements that you're going to see today come directly from feedback that they've given, as well as advisors telling us about where they're experiencing friction and pain points in their everyday workflows. So FE serves the entire investment ecosystem, and on the wealth side, as you probably saw in our previous slide, we work with over 4,000 firms. And then on the asset management side, we partner with the majority of large fund managers, platforms, life and pensions companies. And so that puts us in a pretty unique position where we're able to collect, verify, and standardize data across the market and then connect it back into the tools that the advisors are actually using. And so what you can kind of see on the left-hand side of the screen here is that kind of verified data, which feeds directly into the wealth management tools. So as you can see here, we've got quite a big list of features that we've introduced this year. Some of them I'm sure you'll already be aware of, whereas a few of the other new features are a little bit more behind the scenes, but all of them are designed with that end goal of making your life a little bit easier and further connecting up our ecosystem. So the features that we're going to cover today are, we're going to start off with the MPS universe. Then my colleague Steve is going to bring you through Advisor Asset and a few of the new improvements that we've made to CashCalc. So if we jump across to FE Analytics, let me just get out of presenter mode.
Also remind everyone, if you have any questions, please put it in the question box or in the chat box.
Perfect. Can everyone still see my screen?
Yes.
Have you still got my screen there, Steve? Perfect.
Yes, we can still see your screen. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, perfect. So yeah, we'll jump across to analytics, and the first thing that we're going to have a look at is the MPS universe. So the new MPS universe, you can find it here under the Instruments tab, similar to any other universes. And one thing that you need to be aware of is that you don't actually need to subscribe to any individual providers to access this information. And now you're going to have access immediately to around 1,500 models that we have on the system. So you can click into a model immediately and see all of the relevant data in a pretty consistent way. And it's going to just really assist with your due diligence. So if we quickly click into this, and hopefully it will load up for us. So yeah, we can instantly see all of this information. And again, you're not going to have to wait for any approval to come through or anything like that. So the next thing to take a quick look at is our sectors. So if we jump across, all of our universes, as I'm sure you're aware, have a correlating sector, and that's no different for the MPS universe. So the UK MPS is all of the MPS offerings turned into sector data. So you can basically now compare all of your portfolios to the rest of the market. And if we press this drop down here, we can see the different sectors that we have on the system. And these are all named based on their growth assets. So if I just delete this from active list, what you can do is you can add in multiple different sectors. And we have quite a bit of data on these as well. So if we wanted to choose a performance period of say 5 years, what we can now do is we can generate a performance line chart to analyze the difference we have in performance there. And additionally, if you wanted to click into any of these sectors, again, you can see quite a bit of different information. So for example, you can see at the top that we have an introduction that's going to give us a bit of a description on what the sector actually is. We can see the average FE risk score, as well as kind of top performing portfolios and bottom performing portfolios. Then we also have performance over the past 5 years, as well as volatility, members, and that's just going to show us who the sector actually comprises of. And lastly, we have a breakdown as well. And the last thing I just wanted to show you as well is our fund filter. So this is going to allow you to basically choose the most suitable portfolios for your clients. We can add in any filters that we want here to kind of narrow down the list, because as I mentioned, we do have over 1,500 portfolios on the system. So for example, if your client only wanted to look at a portfolio with a Crown rating of over 5, all we need to do is type that in. We can add that filter in. And then straight away, that's going to narrow things down a little bit more. And again, if you just wanted to look at a portfolio from a specific sector, we can type in sector, select the sector that we want to use. So let's go for this one. And again, add that in, and it's going to narrow down our list even more. And if we wanted to see our results, it's just going to show us that list of portfolios there that are a little bit more applicable to our clients. So that's basically everything that I wanted to show you with our new MPS universe. What I'm going to do now is pass back over to my colleague Steve, who's going to tell you a little bit about Advisor Asset and CashCalc.
Thank you, Steve. Just to reiterate with the MPS universe, obviously, as you've mentioned at the start, you do have access to all UK MPSs. However, it is a bit limited, so you can't create any charts or graphs for using that. So once you have decided on a couple, you should probably still reach out to the MPS, and then you can choose to subscribe, but it still allows you to look at all of the information at hand prior to subscribing. But anyways, let me go into some of the other bits. Let me just share my screen. So I hope you can all see on my screen here. So anyways, as Neve mentioned, we have a few more additions in FE Analytics, one of them being the FE Advisor Asset integration and new tool in general that we brought in January. So this is something you can find here on the left under Platform Analysis tool with our big new bold new title here. What this essentially is a platform due diligence and analysis tool that allows you to compare charges across different platforms between different portfolios, as well as to create due diligence on those platforms, allowing you to make sure that you are choosing the correct platform for your needs that are integrated and have the options available which you require within your firm. And it also allows you to analyze platform charges. So if you're moving a client's portfolio from one platform to another or consolidating them from multiple different platforms onto one, how much are you saving in charges, or what exactly is the overall charge difference in that? So that is, as you can see here, broken down into 3 sections: charge comparison, consolidation, and platform due diligence. I'm not going to go into too in-depth detail with these, but we do have videos and guides available, as well as bi-weekly training sessions on this. Next up, let me go into a portfolio for the next section. So I brought up a portfolio loaded here, and what I'm about to show you is available for any portfolio, so whether that's one that you've created or ones that you're subscribed to. So for this, as I mentioned, I brought it into the active list and I clicked into it, which brings up this screen here. Now, on the data point up here, as you can see, there's a new section here as well with 2 new buttons. One allows you to export the portfolio into Advisor Asset, where you can then use it to analyze the chart comparisons. The other one is allowing you to export to CashCalc. And if I click on that, you can choose whether you want turn this portfolio into a linear growth rate, which takes all of the performance history of this portfolio, averages this out over a linear growth rate template, which you can apply in a CashCalc. So for example, if this portfolio had a 7.5% average growth rate over the last 10 years, it will turn that into a 7.5 growth rate in CashCalc. The other one is the asset allocation, which will take the asset allocation of the portfolio and turn it into both an asset allocation template, which you can then use for risk profiling, or you can then turn it into a variable growth template, or you can even do both. I'll show you how that looks like on CashCalc. So once you click that, then click Export to CashCalc, you'll be brought into this screen here. And as you can see here, we have growth template and asset allocation. So that's where those 2 bits will appear. Asset allocation will take the portfolios, and here we have Carl, for example, and it turned it into a variable growth based on the asset allocation, or similarly here, it turns into a growth template as well, or it turns it, if you were to choose the linear one, it would have turned it into something like this. And with those 2 things, we can then go into the cash flow modeler itself, and we can then go to any of their investments, so whether that's pension or other investments, savings investments, and then we can go to let's go to savings investments. You can click edit on one of these. And here, instead of having a simple 3% return, which I've put here initially, you can click on template and click this. And now we have portfolios here, which we've imported from CashCalc, I mean, from FE Analytics. So if I find Carl's one beforehand that we've looked at before, we can click that, and now we can apply Carl's actual portfolio performance on his as allocation onto the investments within CashCalc, making that cash flow model just so much more personal to the client and a lot more accurate and overall. So instead of using a generic growth model or generic 5%, 6% growth rate, you can use his actual returns. So that's one of the first integrations that we've brought in. And some of the other improvements we brought in into CashCalc is some more logic-based. So we've brought in improvements in how the CGT taxes are being calculated in the background. We also brought in more logic for survivorship analysis. So if one person dies and leaves the remainder to the other person, how would that affect their tax status and so on. But the other ones that we can also show you is we have this new transfers feature, which allows you to create a transfer between two different pots. So whether it's from a ISA to another ISA, from a pension to an ISA, or any way you want it, you have now a quicker way of doing that. Next up, if we go into pensions, instead of just DC pensions, we now also have DB pensions. And we also improved some of the logic where if you can choose whether you want a salary sacrifice, whether it's something as an inherited pension, also if how some of the other income taxes are being calculated in the background. Then next up, we can go into tools where we've brought in the new improved IHT calculator. So as some of you might know already, our inheritance tax calculator was down for a bit. So that was due to routine maintenance work and improvement work. So we've now relaunched it as of a couple of weeks ago, where it's now fully up to date. You can be rest assured that it works as it should, and it is up to date with all of the current tax standards and information for inheritance tax. So yeah, so these are some of the features that we've brought in for CashCalc. So naturally, as I mentioned before, a lot of the other features and improvements are more in the background based on the logic and how it thinks, as well as based on some of the integrations. So we've brought in some more integrations of various other back office systems. Um, we will be bringing in more information and more improvements in the upcoming year as well. Some more integrations of various other systems. And what we also will be bringing in will be one of our biggest additions, which is AI. So we are bringing in something called Nexus AI, which I'm sure some of you might have already been reached out about by our sales team. And Nexus AI will essentially sit side by side with our two systems. It will talk to these two systems. It will also allow you to bring it into meetings. It will listen to your conversation, obviously with your permission, and not just malevolence. Without your permission, it will always be there once you've clicked it and say that you want this to be there. And it will listen in and it will take the information, turn it into a fact find, turn it into a report, take the information from our various other systems and create a more personalized uh, client report, performance report, portfolio report, fact finds, cash flows, models, so on, allowing you to save a bit more time from admin and time doing all of this manual research and admin work, allowing you to just spend more time with your clients doing anything else. But yeah, so these are some of the work we've done. And yeah, so this has been one of our largest years of improvements actually with the various integrations. We have some more acquisition integrations that are also coming in the future that will affect how FE Analytics works, as well as on a more data point of view. So as you've mentioned, we have the UK MPS, which is we are also going to be expanding as far as we can, as well as with Advisor Asset, which we are also bringing in more and more platforms. So yeah, I think we now have some time for questions if anyone has any questions on any of this. I can't hear you, Neve, if you're talking.
Sorry about that. I was saying I'll take a quick look through the chat box and see if any questions have come through. So one question that someone has asked is, do these tools come at an additional cost?
Sorry, let me just reshare this. Sorry, um, just resharing the screen prior to that. Uh, non so if so CashCalc itself is charged separately from FE Analytics unless you have a contract that combines the two into one, in which case it won't that won't be charged separately. But the actual features themselves, if you already have access to both systems, then none of these features have any additional cost associated with them. Nexus AI, once it's launched, will have a separate cost with that. However, do reach out and we'll be able to provide costs at that, and I'm sure we'll also be releasing some more information on that. But on Advice Asset as well as the various integrations, there's no real cost associated with that.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. And another question is, do you have any additional training materials or anything like that?
Yes, so as every tool is released, we do usually create training materials. We release it on our YouTube page. So if you aren't already subscribed to our YouTube page, please do. We release new videos on there. Same thing on LinkedIn. So anytime there's new releases, new tools, new acquisitions, we are releasing those updates on LinkedIn as well. So subscribe to that. We are currently doing a video a day for the Advent season. So please also watch those. You'll probably see both of us again on those videos, but we also release new videos and guides. Again, also on LinkedIn as well as YouTube, and our training team also has sessions on those. So if you do require more training, do reach out to our support team who can direct you to the correct training teams or to the correct person. We can book in either a more personalized session for you and your team, or we can get you signed up on our pre-existing training sessions. I see another question. Do you have a full API integration at all? Let's push pulling data and click into it. Pulling data print any rekeying. Yes, so CashCalc is based on OpenAPI. So there is an API page on there. So we can create a API link. So if you can reach out, we can create an API link for you, and you can integrate it with the various back office systems. So for CashCalc, we do, that's OpenAPI. With FE Analytics, that's not OpenAPI, but I do believe we have some things set up. So reach out to us, send an email to either one of us or our support team. We can then look into it. And if you give us a bit more detail about your setup and how you want the API to work, we can give you a lot more detail. We have documentation on that. And we do have API set up with various other systems already. So yeah, just give us some more information and we'll be able to provide the right ones.
Perfect.
Yeah. But yeah, some context. The API for CashCalc does go well. The ones we have existing with the back office systems do go two ways. They do stop a rekeying already, so it should usually work with most setups. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, that kind of brings me on to my next question that we have. Are there going to be further developments with the integrations between analytics and CashCalc?
As far as I'm aware, yes. I don't have the roadmap on right in front of me, unfortunately, but there should be more integration coming along with both systems, as well as with more back office systems. How the integrations will look like, well, I'm not in the dev team, so I can't show you anything, but it should be more in terms of how the data are talk to each other, how they pull through, and again to stop that rekeying of information, so you can just push things in one go rather than having to push and then still correct or do something with it.
Perfect. And someone else has asked, does the MPS universe trigger sales calls from providers?
No, so if you use the UKMPS universe, so as you mentioned, it's available for everyone. It doesn't trigger anything. It doesn't alert them. So if you go on the UKMPS universe here, and if I go to instruments, just simply going into that, nobody really knows that you're using that. You can just use it to your heart's content, essentially. But the UK MPS is a bit limited in that you can look at the MPSs, but you can't create charts and tables with it. So, but you can still look at it. You can still look at the performance history and so on. You can use the fund filters on it as all sector data. But if you want the full extent and full functionality of the MPS universe and the various MPSs, then we would still recommend reaching out to the MPS providers and maybe subscribing to them. But in the initial phase, it doesn't trigger anything, so you can essentially do all of your research before deciding whether you want to go ahead with the MPS itself. Yeah.
Perfect. Someone else has asked, is it possible to get firm-specific demos?
Yes, there should be. We have a training team that's usually available for firm-specific demos. Again, reach out to us. So if I go, there should be a thing. You can contact us on LinkedIn. Otherwise, we have customer support at info. Send them an email. They'll direct it to the relevant team, and we can get something booked in with our training team if you want something more specific for yourself. Otherwise, we also have CPT certified training session that's a bit more like regular classroom, well, online virtual classroom sessions.
Perfect. And do you know which providers are included in the MPS universe?
It's pretty much it's every provider on the MPS directory as far as I'm aware. I don't have all of the ones on my in my head, but do take a look at all of them. Pretty much everything, if it's on the MPS directory, it's on there. And the MPS directory covers the majority of all major providers within the United Kingdom. It might not include some of the more niche or boutique providers, but it will have all of the major ones on there. If there are specific providers that are missing you would like to see, and reach out to us. We will get in touch with those providers and try and work the case to get them to upload it for you.
Perfect. Any other questions, guys?
If there are no more questions, obviously, we all wish you a happy, festive end of year period. And do reach out to us in the new year or even in the next few days if there are any further questions. We'll be restarting these Demo Day Wednesdays in the new year. We'll be also releasing more marketing on any of the new additions and anything else that will come in the new year as well. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, thanks everyone for your time, and we look forward to seeing you at our next Demo Day Wednesday next year.
Bye.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye.